grateful that, you know, along these past several years at least, right? Because we've been here before. We've been here before. This is not the first iteration of Black freedom struggle, right? And so I am grateful, though, that if it took for a Breonna Taylor or for Ahmaud to be murdered by a white supremacist, or here in Long Beach, Frederick Taft was also murdered by a white supremacist 2 years ago, and our department did nothing. If it takes these things for everyone else to finally wake up and say, you know, what is the action I can take? Not what is the tweet they could retweet or the post they could repost, but what is the action they could take to disrupt white supremacy, to disrupt systemic institutional anti-Blackness in ways that are empowering and supportive and defensive for Black people. I'm excited about that. So yeah, it's how I'm feeling in this time.
Thank you.
I think I want to lift up Adrienne Marie Brown, who always talks about like utilizing like what we already have in nature and how it exists over and over again in like apocalypses. You know, if you don't think about them through white supremacy, you know that they give birth to like some beautiful Afrofuturistic visions, and we go through apocalypses all the time, and we've had many of them. And so to go through like not just the pandemic, 2020 just seems like it's just a folly of a year. I mean, we were either going to get bombed in January and then February and then March. It's like you're going to cough to death. And then during that, which I think people are seeing globally, you know, this the way Black people are is not even mistreated or just disregarded. You know, you want us on the front line and then we dying. And then whether we on our way to our work, you killing us, or in our beds, you killing us. And what took place with Breonna Taylor is like the catalyst, right? But that's the reason why we say our name, because we forget to say the names of Black femmes and trans people who are murdered by the state or vigilantes in white supremacy. And we're so easily to keep reminding people of who is murdered on the streets, but we forget that like Black women are abused, raped, and murdered. And so that's LMPD for us, Louisville Metro Police Department. But then they kill an essential worker, right? They kill this essential worker, and 2 weeks later, they kill a man outside of a hospital in the middle of a pandemic. I think it's harder too for folks who constantly see it, who are constantly battered by police or systemic injustice, to just rise up and just do that. And this is the South. Like we sometimes get a little jaded. There's not particular attention being drawn on like this historic notion that we have to be under white supremacy's arm just because we are the South. Like this is where slavery was embedded and still is embedded, with high incarceration rates and wild like corruption. I mean, Mitch McConnell is our senator. We don't even know how he gets in office. I think I've seen him on the ballot twice. So it's a mix of like what revolutionary visions can we have for ourselves right now in this moment, while we still like fight and eventually burn it down.
Chanel, were you protesting today?
Today I was not protesting. I did jail support today because I was woken up about 8:30 of protesters downtown. So they've been doing an encampment downtown in the Judicial Center, and every morning they get up here lately this week and block off streets. And so one of those persons actually hit a protester, and people just started, filling up the streets as best they could. It wasn't a lot of people, but the response from the police has been interesting to us. I think like when you heard Melina talk about 12 people get out there, even if it was 12 or 30, they were still trying to abuse you and use all type of tactics to police terrorism. This morning, I mean, you can find it all over Twitter. Like they even shot at people who were looking out of the court building, shooting at the windows, just going rogue. And this is a day after they have a press conference in one of our parks, just talking about the blatant disrespect, just copying NYC Police Department, just trying to get a response. And it's like, on a daily, you are utilizing these tactics to police people in certain neighborhoods. And that's the West End of Louisville, Kentucky. we got Breonna's Law passed, and that was a grassroots effort. They came from a BLM organizer who was like, we got to stop these no-knocks because we know what they're about. Like daily, people are trapped in their homes or trapped in their neighborhoods by, you know, an intruder that busts in your home, and you have a right to defend your home. You don't have a right to defend your home in that moment. They come in with all type of brutal force. Aiyana Jones was 7 years old when they accidentally busted in her Detroit home while she was asleep on the couch with her grandmother, and a 7-year-old baby was killed. So we find that as a victory, especially since it came from our hands, and to work as hard as we did. Our other organizer, Katura Haran, you know, we just like, it's no compromise season. We don't have time to be like, okay, maybe we just be shy of let's just get half the votes. No, we need all them votes, not today.
So what do you think it is? So I was in Ferguson with the at Ground Zero at the gas station when, you know, they tried to criminalize and Mike Brown and make him seem like, you know, he was the issue. And I've worked with and done projects with the mothers of Tamir Rice and Eric Gardner, and these are all horrible stories, and Sandra Bland, and these were all on their own horrific stories, gross displays of blatant white supremacy, how the system works. What do you think it is about this moment besides COVID? Because now there's been people that have been vocal, been doing the work, but like, I've never seen this many white people on board, and I don't know if it's a fear of being called out, or it's kind of, is it in trends now? I'm not a racist.
I want to lift up that we cannot forget this moment. We are in COVID. Like, we have changed. We've gone through 4 dramatic, systemic, but also like life changes. It's a universal thing. Like, we are no longer in a world that existed pre-COVID, pre-2020. Just like every time you name off somebody who has passed away and we learn about that, we change. And so what COVID did was there was a sense of compassion that was kind of built in losing pre-COVID world. And so pre-COVID world doesn't exist anymore. And so now this compassion is here.
We got to take a